Special ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting convenes today. Macron approves construction of new nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Salam Malaysia Badani. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brenda Lupal. Foreign ministers and officials from ASEAN met in Kuala Lumpur this afternoon for a special meeting to address the ongoing situation between Cambodia and Thailand. The special ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, chaired by Foreign Minister Dr. Sri Mohamad Hassan, is attended by a total of 23 officials, including ASEAN Secretary General Dr. Kao Kim Horn. Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn will attend the meeting, the country's foreign ministry confirmed on Sunday in a statement posted on Facebook. Last Friday, Director General of the Department of Information at Thailand's Foreign Ministry also confirmed that Thai Foreign Minister Sihasak Phongketkiao will attend the meeting. Myanmar officials are expected to join the meeting virtually. Wisma Putra said in a statement that the special meeting will be convened pursuant to the decision of the Prime Ministers of Malaysia, Cambodia and Thailand on 11 December. It stated that the meeting will provide a platform for the ASEAN foreign ministers to exchange views on the current situation and to consider possible steps that ASEAN may take in support of the ongoing efforts towards de-escalation and cessation of hostilities in the interests of peace and stability between the two ASEAN member states and the wider region. Villages in Thailand's Sisaket province, which borders Cambodia, are quiet and empty after residents were evacuated to shelters. With permission from the Thai military, reporters entered the border conflict zone on Sunday and saw bullet holes scattered across residential buildings, as well as deep craters left by rocket and artillery fire.
เมื่อไหร่จะมาใช่ไหมน่าจะยังน่าจะอีกนานโอเคดูสถานการณ์ก่อนครับเพราะตรงนี้เป็นพื้นที่ที่ยังไม่จบ
Artillery fire could still be heard at the scene throughout the day. Thai military officials said the explosions were caused by Thai artillery strikes targeting Cambodian positions. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul said Thai forces have taken control of nearly all targeted areas and are now compelling Cambodian forces to withdraw, adding that the areas are being closely monitored to prevent any renewed clashes. The latest round of Thailand-Cambodia conflict, which reignited since 7 December, has resulted in the deaths of 34 Thai civilians. The civilian death toll in Cambodia has risen to 19. The ongoing border clashes also have weighed heavily on Cambodia's tourism industry, a key pillar of the country's economy, as visitor numbers drop steeply. Once busy streets in local main tourist destination Siem Reap have seen much fewer tour buses, with local hotels and restaurants suffering significantly dropped customer arrivals. At the ticket office of Cambodia's best-known heritage site, Angkor Wat, peak hours crowds have thinned, with only small groups of visitors in sight. Revenue from ticket sales and related industries is vital for the maintenance of Angkor Wat. Industry workers warn that prolonged conflict could deliver a double blow of reduced income and fewer resources for preservation.
Guna mentol jimat tenaga untuk lebih jimat. Padamkan komputer untuk lebih penjimatan.
Israeli forces have launched fresh strikes across multiple areas of the Gaza Strip, with local sources reporting civilian casualties and a further worsening of the humanitarian crisis. According to Gaza Civil Defense, the Israeli artillery strike in the Tufah neighborhood east of Gaza City has killed 5 local residents, including children. The strike brought the number of Palestinians killed since the October ceasefire to around 400. Abu Hamza Afana, an ambulance director who took part in the rescue operation, said Israeli forces repeatedly obstructed emergency efforts. The attacks came as displaced families grappled with severe weather and growing shortages of shelter and basic supplies, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. Local sources said that as a powerful storm swept through the region recently, at least 13 Palestinian children died due to shortages of essential supplies and medical services. The head of the World Health Organization, WHO, warned that progress against famine in Gaza remains extremely fragile after the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, IPC, claimed that no areas in Gaza are currently classified as facing famine. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said currently the population of Gaza continues to struggle with massive infrastructure destruction, collapsed livelihoods and local food production and restrictions to humanitarian operations. Tedros noted that more than 100,000 children and 37,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women are still projected to suffer acute malnutrition through April next year, while only 50% of Gaza's health facilities are partially functional and facing shortages of essential supplies and equipment. To scale up life-saving services and expand access to care, WHO calls for the urgent and expedited approval and entry of essential medical supplies, equipment, and prefabricated hospital structures. While recent developments amid the fragile ceasefire, including a proposed peace plan and improved food inflows, have helped ease the most extreme conditions, the IPC warned that the outcome or the outlook remains grave. Meanwhile, Israel's Security Cabinet has approved the establishment of 19 new illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank, bringing the number of illegal settlements approved over the past 3 years to 69. The approvals cover both entirely new illegal settlements and the retroactive authorizations of illegal settlements built without permits from Israeli authorities. The step is part of a broader effort to strengthen Jewish illegal settlements across the West Bank, which Israel captured in 1967 war and which Palestinians seek as the core of a future independent state. The approval comes amid heightened international criticism of Israeli settlement activity, which most countries regard as illegal under international law. Israel has accelerated settlement approvals since the formation of the current right-wing government, which includes parties that strongly oppose Palestinian statehood and advocate expanding Israeli control over the territory. Palestinian officials have warned the continued illegal settlement expansion undermines prospects for a two-state solution and fuels tensions on the ground, while Western allies have repeatedly urged Israel to halt such moves. Residents of Kampung Gedumbak in Aceh Utara, Indonesia, are struggling with clean water shortages following last month's mud floods. To help, the Sumatra Humanitarian Mission from Malaysia has donated 2 water tanks to provide safe drinking water for daily use. Our reporter Erwin Zaid reported that local rivers and wells were heavily contaminated by flood, making access to clean water difficult. In response, EconSafe, MyCare and Islamic Relief Indonesia Malaysia set up the tanks near the village. The effort also aims to prevent waterborne diseases among residents, with local agencies assisting by filling the tanks. In addition, the mission donated a cow to support meals at the village's community kitchen.
Kemungkinan besok adalah kita akan sembelih seekor lembu lah, sapi. Mungkin petang ni akan sembelih, lepas tu besok lah kita akan masak semuanya. Lepas tu buat yang sedia maklum, sebelum ni mereka pakai air telaga. Air telaga dengan air sungai lah, tapi air telaga tu pun dah jadi kotor. Lepas tu sungai tu pun air agak kotor, jadi
The mission, launched on Friday, has provided temporary shelters, basic food, community kitchens and clean water. However, continued support from NGOs and agencies is needed, as recovery in Kampung Gadumbak may take a long time. French President Emmanuel Macron has approved the construction of a new nuclear-powered aircraft carrier to replace the Charles de Gaulle, France's flagship warship. The Charles de Gaulle, the only nuclear-powered carrier outside the US Navy, has been in service since 2001. Macron announced the decision during a visit to French troops in the United Arab Emirates, saying France must remain strong in an increasingly dangerous world. Studies to replace the carrier began in 2018, with preliminary works starting 2 years later. Macron said the final green light was given this week. The move comes despite budget pressures and debate over defense priorities amid rising tensions in Europe. The new carrier will be larger and more powerful, displacing nearly 80,000 tons and stretching about 310 meters long. It will carry around 30 fighter jets and have a crew of 2,000. While still smaller than US supercarriers, the vessel will place France among a small group of nations operating large aircraft carriers. Coming up, US Coast Guard pursues sanctioned oil tanker near Venezuela. Stay with us. The US Coast Guard is pursuing a sanctioned oil tanker in international waters near Venezuela, according to US officials. It confirmed it would be the second such operation this weekend and the third in less than 2 weeks. Officials say the tanker is part of Venezuela's so-called dark fleet used to evade international sanctions. The vessel is accused of flying a false flag and is subject to a judicial seizure order. Maritime security sources have identified the tanker as Bella 1, a crude oil carrier listed under U.S. Treasury sanctions. Authorities say the ship has not yet been boarded, noting that interceptions can include close surveillance by sea or air. Tracking data shows the Bella 1 was last located in the Caribbean Sea and was empty as it approaches Venezuelan waters. Records indicate the tanker previously transported Venezuelan oil to China and has also carried Iranian crude. Meanwhile, U.S. military assets were active in Puerto Rico as Washington continues its Caribbean build-up. The Navy replenishment oiler USNS Conova was docked at the Port of the Americas with personnel visible on board. At Mercedita Airport in Ponce, mechanics worked on V-22 Osprey aircraft while CH-53E Super Stealth helicopters conducted takeoffs. The Trump administration has deployed thousands of troops, an aircraft carrier, warships and fighter jets to the region. President Donald Trump has warned that strikes on Venezuelan soil could follow. Somalia will deploy more than 10,000 security personnel in the capital Mogadishu ahead of local elections on 25th December, the country's first direct polls in nearly 60 years. The elections follow the launch of voter registration in April, a major step toward universal suffrage and ending decades of clan-based indirect voting. More than 1,600 candidates are contesting 390 local council seats in the Banade region, with nearly 400,000 registered voters. The opposition is boycotting the polls, accusing the government of unilateral election processes. Election officials say movement will be restricted on voting day, with voters transported to polling station by bus. Somalia last held direct elections in 1969 before the country descended into decades of conflict. The country is expected to hold presidential elections in 2026 when President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud's term ends.
My Card bukan sekadar kad pengenalan, tetapi medium utama yang menghubungkan rakyat dengan pelbagai perkhidmatan kerajaan dan swasta. Banyak insentif kerajaan disalurkan melalui My Card, daripada bantuan kebajikan, kemudahan kesihatan hinggalah pelbagai program rakyat. Inilah keistimewaan yang dimiliki oleh setiap warga negara Malaysia. Sila periksa keadaan My Card anda Sekiranya chip rosak, hilang atau my card sudah uzur, segera lakukan penggantian di Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara agar hak dan kemudahan anda sentiasa terjamin. Inilah komitmen madani. Dengan dokumen identiti yang sah, moden dan diyakini, rakyat disantuni sebaiknya. My Card, identiti anda, kebanggaan negara.
Hill towns in northern India were flooded with tourists on Sunday as people from New Delhi sought a respite from urban air pollution. Delhi and its suburban areas are often covered in smog during winter as coal, dense air traps emissions from vehicles, construction sites and burning crops, pushing pollution levels to among the highest in the world.
बहुत फर्क दिख रहा है हमें. मतलब आई कैन ब्रीथ वेल. अभी मैंने गाड़ी साइड में रोकी इसलिए थी. आई वाज टेलिंग टू माय वाइफ कि एक ऑफिस की कॉल ले लेते हैं एंड लेट्स टेक अ फ्रेश ब्रेथ है, जो शायद से दिल्ली में पॉसिबल नहीं होता. दिल्ली में हम अपने रूम में एयर प्यूरीफायर ऑन करके बैठते हैं. यहाँ पर थोड़ी हवा है.
According to the Central Pollution Control Board, the air quality index in New Delhi was recorded at 377, only slightly below the severe category on Sunday, leaving locals at risk of respiratory diseases. Authorities in Delhi rolled out strict measures last Wednesday in an attempt to curb pollution, including a ban on vehicles not compliant with latest emission control norms and regulating attendance in private and government offices. French military veterinarians have joined a nationwide campaign to vaccinate 750,000 cattle to curb the spread of lumpy skin disease in the country's southwest. France has secured 400,000 additional vaccine doses from the Netherlands, adding to its existing stock of 500,000. The armed forces are helping transport and administer the vaccines. The outbreak has reignited farmer protests in France and Belgium, with blockades and demonstrations held alongside the European Council meeting. Farmers are voicing anger over the government's handling of the disease and the proposed EU-Mercosur trade deal. Under current French rules, entire herds must be culled when an outbreak is detected. Around 3,000 cattle have been slaughtered since June, a policy unions describe as excessive and devastating to livelihoods. Farmers say the outbreak has deepened long-standing grievances over foreign competition, strict regulations and the future of French agriculture. At least 9 people were killed and 10 others wounded when gunmen opened fire at a bar in Bekkersdal, southwest of Johannesburg, early Sunday. Deputy Police Commissioner Major General Fred Kerana says most attackers were armed with pistols while one carried an AK-47 assault rifle. They shot patrons at random, killing 3 inside the bar and others as they fled before stealing valuables, including mobile phones. The victims included a ride-hailing driver passing by.
Currently, the motive is still unknown. We appeal to our community to assist us in ensuring that those communities who might have seen this white quantum and grey Toyota Etios leaving a certain property or house, or they know any of the occupants or drivers, please let them share that with us.
This is the second deadly tavern shooting in South Africa this month, following an attack near Pretoria on 6 December that killed 12 people, including a 3-year-old child. At least 12 bodies have been discovered over 3 days in a wooded area on the outskirts of Guatemala City in what authorities believe is linked to gang violence. Fire officials say the site is known dumping ground used by criminals. 2 bodies were found on Friday, followed by 3 more bodies and a human skeleton on Saturday. On Sunday, search teams using dogs recovered 6 additional bodies, some wrapped in sheets and plastic bags. Guatemala's Interior Ministry says the killings may be connected to gang fighting over territory. Earlier this year, 9 bodies were found under a bridge near the capital, highlighting the scale of the problem. Authorities say nearly half of Guatemala's violence is driven by drug traffickers and gangs, with the country recording a homicide rate more than double the global average. Still to come in sports, Prime Minister congratulates Malaysian SEA Games contingent on efforts and successful run. Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim says Malaysia's performance at the 2025 SEA Games in Thailand should serve as motivation for stronger preparations for future sporting events. The Prime Minister congratulated athletes, coaches and the team officials for their discipline, sacrifices and fighting spirit, which brought honour to the nation. He highlighted that preparations for Malaysia as the host of the 2027 SEA Games will focus not only on infrastructure and organisation, but also on building a sustainable sports ecosystem and producing world-class talent. He added that sports unite Malaysians across races and regions, strengthening national pride and togetherness. At the recently concluded SEA Games, Malaysia finished fourth with 57 gold, 57 silver and 117 bronze medals, while host Thailand topped the medal table with 233 golds. France's Christo Popov beat world champion Shi Yuqi 21-19, 21-9 to win the men's title at the BWF World Tour Finals on Sunday. Popov became the first French player to win the year-ending championships. Popov's fast-paced rallies wore down Shi as the French 23-year-old upset the Chinese world number one to become the third European to win in the category. Shi, looking to equal Victor Axelsen's record of winning the tournament 3 times, held his own early on, and the first game hung in the balance at 16-all before Popov won the next 3 points to take a decisive lead. A confident Popov pushed the pace in the second game as Shi, who won the World Tour Finals in 2018 and 2025, showed signs of fatigue, resulting in a dominant win for the Frenchman in the 45-minute clash. In the men's doubles final, South Korea's Kim Won-ho and So Sung-jae beat China's Liang Weikeng and Wang Chang 21-18, 21-14. The early stages of the match were tightly contested with the score tied 12-all midway through the first game. However, the difference emerged at a critical moment. Kim Won-ho, So Sung-jae seized the momentum with the consecutive points in this stretch and never relinquished their lead, securing the first game. The second game was virtually one-sided. Kim Won-ho's control of the front court and So Sung-jae's back court attacks seamlessly intersected, bringing the match to a close. Meanwhile, South Korea's An Se-young clinched the Women's World Tour Finals with a 21-13, 18-21, 21-10 win over defending champion Wang Shigi for her 11th title in 2025, equaling Japan great Kento Momota's record of most titles in a calendar year in singles competition. An, the 2024 Paris Olympics champion, engaged in a marathon contest of 96 minutes against Wang, with both players using their speed to get early points. But An put Wang under severe pressure by using sharp shot placements and stable defense to take advantage before mixing up smashes to take a one-game lead. Wang caught An out of position in the second game to show signs of revival as she pushed the game to a decider. Tremendous difference from An on the backcourt allowed her to cover a lot of ground in the final game, as she again employed smashes to trouble Wang and claim her second title at the season finale. In the women's doubles, South Korean duo Baek Hana and Lee So-hee defeated Japanese pair Yuki Fukushima and Mayu Matsumoto 21-17, 21-11. Meantime, in the mixed doubles, Chinese duo Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping beat compatriots Jiang Zhenbang and Wei Yazin 21-12, 21-17. It marks the 4th consecutive year that China has won the mixed doubles event at the season-ending tournament, following the 3-peat achieved by Olympic champions Sheng Siwei and Huang Yaqiong. In football, Morgan Rogers struck 2 superb goals for Aston Villa as they beat Manchester United 2-1 at home earlier this morning to record their 7th straight Premier League victory and 10th in a row in all competitions. With 7 goals and 3 assists in the league in 17 appearances this season, Rogers has held Villa up to 3rd in the table on 36 points and into the title race, hot on the heels of leaders Arsenal and Manchester City. The home side did not look like a team on a winning run for much of the first half, but that changed when John McGinn picked out Rogers in the 45 minutes. Brimming with confidence, the 23-year-old brought the ball down and kept it in play before cutting into the box and curling a superb shot past keeper Sennett Lomans and into the top corner. United managed to level before the break when Matty Cash was robbed to the right of the Villa penalty area and Mateus Cunha blasted the loose ball past Emiliano Martinez. The fight back was short-lived, however, as Rogers netted again in the 57th minute with another curled effort past Lomans. Villa then held on to leave the visitors 7th in the table as the home fans heralded their goal scorer. Kylian Mbappe equalized Cristiano Ronaldo's club record of 59 goals in a calendar year for Real Madrid with a late penalty in his side's 2-0 home win over Sevilla in La Liga on Saturday. The French forward celebrating his 27th birthday in style as he mimicked Ronaldo's trademark celebration. Mbappe said it was a nod to the Portuguese great, Madrid's all-time top goal scorer, who Mbappe also said is his idol and friend. Mbappe missed several earlier chances before getting his opportunity from the spot 4 minutes from time, and he made no mistake to net his 59th goal in as many games across all competitions in 2025 to level Ronaldo's 2013 haul. Real are second in the La Liga standings on 42 points, 4 behind Barcelona, who won 2-0 against Villarreal, while Sevilla are 10th on 20 points. Xabi Alonso's side were looking to end the year on a high note after losing top spot in November with 3 consecutive draws, and they saw out 2025 with 3 successive wins in all competitions. But it was far from a straightforward success. Former Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain defender Thiago Silva was signed for Porto at the age of 41. One of the finest centre-backs of his generation, Silva arrives in Porto after a 2-season spell with Fluminense in his native Brazil. The move completes something of a circle in his career as he played for Porto's B side in the 2004-05 season. Silva then moved on to Dynamo Moscow before a stint with Fluminense's senior team and then AC Milan, where he won the Serie A title before a 2012 switch to Paris. He left PSG in 2020 with 7 French league crowns and signed for Chelsea, winning the Champions League with the Blues at Porto's Estadio do Dragão Stadium. In all, Silva has a total of 32 trophies in his decorated career and could well add another as Porto are leading the Primeira Liga by 5 points. Silva has made 113 appearances for his country but has not featured for the Seleção since their 2022 World Cup quarter-final exit. That wraps up World Today this time around. In our top story, special ASEAN foreign ministers meeting convenes today. Until then, I'm Brenda Paul. Salam Malaysia Madani. Thank you for watching and take care.